Right. Just don't want to show that. I got like 8 things going on right now. Okay. All right, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am attempting to both do the webinar and stream this live on Twitter. I'm going to see if this actually works. And then we're going to get started. All right, we're going to get going here with the Godfather framework, trying something new out. This series is called What's Working Now. And this kind of arose out of a need to, by the way, can everybody see my screen and hear my voice? You should be able to see on the screen Godfather framework. So if you can see that, let me know. All right, great, cool. I just got my hair cut, by the way. Doesn't it look great? I wanted to yell into the microphone, "Good morning, Vietnam." Kind of like Robin Williams in Good Morning, Vietnam. I don't know. When I was in grade school, that movie was like, I just remember everybody in like my third grade class shouting that phrase at each other when they came into school for the day. And none of us really knew what that even meant. But we heard it, like, heard our parents saying it or whatever, probably saw a trailer on it, and then went berserk with that phrase, just constantly shouting that at each other. Maybe that was just us in good old Crossroads Elementary. Anyway, we're trying this one new series, What's Working Now, and the gist of it is really simple and straightforward. It's to talk about what's working now, what's working now in marketing and business, and I hope to do these somewhat regularly, weekly even, although no promises yet. And basically, this is our attempt to give you real world, real time application, um, insights into what we're seeing that's working with our clients, with our members, uh, on the agency side of things. What's working now, not what worked a year ago, not what worked 10 years ago, not what even worked yesterday, but what's working now. And there's no better place to start than at the beginning. And so the one area that we know you have to get right is the offer. In fact, I'm personally in the middle of this process myself, so that's probably why it's top of mind, is basically looking at every single offer we have from top to bottom and asking the question, why is this either working the way we want it to, or why is this not working the way that we want it to? Why, if it's not working the way we want it to, why is it not getting the conversions, the eyeballs, the momentum that we want it to? Because there's nothing worse than trying to sell an offer that will never work. You can have the best marketing in the world. In fact, one of my mentors and heroes in the space, Michael Hyatt, says good marketing will make a bad product or a bad offer fail faster. And I always remember that because, especially when I owned an agency back in the day, we could do the most amazing work that you've ever seen in terms of ads, in terms of copy, landing pages, lead magnets. We could produce all this great stuff for clients. In other words, we could create a solid, good, straightforward, structured, simple marketing plan that worked. However, what we found over and over and over again, the clients that would get the most frustrated with us were the ones that their offer was a complete mess. And when I say mess, I don't necessarily mean like people aren't buying it. When I say it's a mess, what I mean is there's no structure to it. There's no there's no there's no process behind, okay, how did this offer come to be? Did we just feel like selling this one day? And sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to go through a lot of iterations and throw stuff that out there and see what works. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about fundamentally, do you have a way to evaluate the effectiveness of your offers? And we found that many clients didn't. It was either, well, we've always sold this. This has always been something that we've done. It's always been a part of our business arsenal. The founder just kind of, maybe like we saw this one a lot where the founder was, um, super gifted in sales, and so that founder could make up, uh, you know, cover a lot of distance between the marketing and the conversions. And so because they were so good at sales, they could kind of, fill in those gaps of, let's say, an undefined offer. So the people that bought that offer weren't actually buying the offer. They were buying the founder selling the offer, if that makes sense. So what you're seeing on the screen here, the Godfather framework, it arose out of that pain point that we saw in clients where they they knew like they knew they had something, but they didn't know why they had something, or they didn't have something and they didn't know how to create something new in terms of an offer. So that's where the Godfather framework came from. It was it was my uh, my attempt to create a structured, irresistible offer from the ground up. And the cool part about the framework is you can use this certainly for new offers, but it also can work for offers that are in existence. And you can kind of go back and grandfather this framework into your offer, and it makes it so much more clean and clear and crisp. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here. This module actually is straight from our clients and content coaching program. And I just wanted to share it with you today as we go through what's working now, because I know like one of the first steps that we take with any new client is we go through their Godfather offer. We either take something that they currently have and structure it accordingly, or we create something new. And I'll go through it here. It's not a huge, long module here. That's kind of my vibe, but it really boils down to these 4 steps: specific person, specific outcome, specific process, specific product. So we're going to dig into that. I do want to keep this to 30 minutes. So, because y'all got stuff to do, I got stuff to do, and this shouldn't take longer than 30 minutes anyway. All right. So here's what the cool part is about the Godfather framework. It gives you the confidence to offer what you're best at and excel at delivering. No more races to the bottom or doing what everyone else does. You'll be able to create offers your ideal prospects simply can't refuse. That's where the name comes from. Godfather, the movie, of course. I'm not even going to do my Godfather impression. You don't want to see that. I'm going to make an offer you can't refuse. See, I did it. And that's ultimately what our offers should be. These are not something like that we have to push on people. We shouldn't have to twist arms. We shouldn't have to convince even. We simply say, here's the pain points you have. Here's the offer that matches up with that pain point. Do you want it? Okay. And offers are defined in one of 2 ways. You see this all the time. And maybe you can, off the top of your head, which category your current offer fits in. All right. Offers fit into one of 2 categories: push offers, pull offers. Push offer is an offer that you, as the founder, coach, consultant, expert, whatever, want to sell. Pull offer is an offer that your prospect wants to buy. All right. And so meaning that's what I was talking about earlier. They have this pain point, and the pull offer in your business matches up with that pain point. And so it's a very easy sell. That's the key to creating an irresistible offer. But what I find most often is that a lot of offers that are challenging to sell, or you feel like you're forcing it or pushing it. I mean, that's why we call it a push offer. It's because it's usually attached to an offer that you want to sell. I remember we had um, uh, an offer like this many years ago, and I had gone to a mastermind. And of course, if you've ever been a part of a mastermind, uh, hugely valuable. But like all these ideas get thrown around, and then someone threw around an idea, and I was like, "Oh, I want to do that." And so we put resources and time and energy into this offer, pushed it out to the list, and it totally fell flat. And when I did kind of the postmortem, I realized, oh, this is because there wasn't necessarily a pent up demand for this in my list. This was just something that I got an idea about and I wanted to sell it. And so I sold it, or I tried to sell it anyway, but it didn't work. So if you want a visual for this, I'm a big visual learner. This is what a Godfather offer looks like. There has to be an overlap here. This is so important. Okay. So many people miss this. They they focus on one circle or the other. All right. So when you focus on only on what you want to sell, well, we've kind of already talked about that, but you you know you're in this circle when it feels like you're having to twist arms, when you feel like you're having to force it, when your conversion rates are low, you're pushing it, right? And no one likes to be sold, but everybody likes to buy. No one likes to be sold, but everybody likes to buy. And so you can focus too much on that side of the circle. You can also focus too much on this side of the circle, what they want to buy, they meaning your prospects. All right. And I want to talk about this for a second because this is so important. No one ever talks about this because as marketers, as business owners, we think, well, it's like the Jim Carrey line. Remember Jim Carrey told the story when he was getting started in Hollywood. He would sit there after every stand-up show that he did, and he'd ask the question, what do they want? What do they want? What do they want? They being the audience. They want to laugh. I can make them laugh. What's going to make them laugh? What do they want? And that's good. That's a great discipline to get into. However, sometimes we can get so far into the circle that we forget about this side, what we want to sell. And I was just talking with a friend and client yesterday, and he had talked about something, one of our programs that he had gone through. And he said, you gave me permission to not only focus on what they want to buy, you gave me permission to focus on what I want to sell or how I want to deliver it. The overlap of those two circles is the Godfather offer. All right. This is an offer that they can't refuse. And it's two parts. It's yes, they want to buy it, but you enjoy delivering it. There's nothing worse than having an offer that you hate delivering. There's nothing worse. And I know because I've been there. We had this in my digital agency. We had this landing page offer. I'll just call it that. And it was our highest ticket item, but the fulfillment of that, it was like programming a NASA shuttle launch. It was horrible. I hated selling it. Our team hated fulfilling it, but because the price tag was so high, that's why I kept doing it. It's a terrible reason to sell something. And so finally I gave myself permission to stop selling that after I basically had a nervous breakdown. And so that offer went away. But it's super important that these two are balanced because that's what's going to create your Godfather offer. So how do we get there? We're going to spend the rest of the time talking about this. How do we get here? How do we get to this overlap? All right. So the Godfather framework, it must be a specific offer that helps your ideal prospect, aka the who, get from one spot to the next. All right. So an example would be your offer helps someone go from confused to clear. From, if you're a restaurant, from hungry to not hungry. That first one is like if you're a coach or a consultant. Okay. Go from confused to clear. Go from hungry to not hungry. Go from invisible to discovered. Nino, who is on the training today, a teammate of mine, he talks about, Nino, if you can confirm this in the chat, I want to make sure I get this right. You want to take people, deliver people from hell and deliver them into heaven. So you're taking them from one spot and putting them in another spot. Um, all right, Nino said I nailed it. Great. So you're taking them from one spot and you're putting them in another spot. All right. One step, usually, if you can, a specific outcome. All right. And we'll talk about that more here in just a second. So let's break this down. Specific person. All right. So this is the first step of your Godfather framework to create an irresistible offer. I use this for every single offer that I've ever created, step by step, because it's that good. It's that solid. And when I don't do this, I notice. All right. Sometimes I'll get a little lazy and I'll just want to get something out there. And it totally comes back to bite me in the backside. I think my mom's watching this, so I'm going to keep my language clean. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Uh, so specific person, first name and last name. Make this a real person if you can. Okay. I used to work for an organization where we would do all these kind of ideal personas, and we would give them names, and we'd have like 4 different categories of these ideal personas, and they never worked. All right. They never worked because it lacked the soul of a real person. All right. So having this ideal avatar, the reason why it's called an ideal avatar is because it's ideal. It doesn't exist. That person doesn't exist. But when you have a real person, and preferably this is someone who has paid you money, all right, or donated to your cause, or been involved in your organization or whatever, your specific person has a first name and a last name. And I want you to make this a real person. Okay. So the reason behind this, it's a little trick that authors use sometimes. They say that the best books are the ones that you write to an audience of one. All right. So when an author sits down to write a book, they write to a specific person, one person. And of course, the thought being, well, if there's one person who deals with this or thinks about this or wonders about this, there's thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people who also think, deal, wonder about this thing. It's true in writing. It's also true in offer creation. The easiest way to come up with this person is if you could clone your favorite client or customer, who would it be? And my guess is you could probably think of that person right now. It shouldn't take but 2 seconds to think about that ideal person that you love working with. I know who mine is. I know that when their name shows up in my inbox, or, when we have a call on the calendar or whatever, I'm not like totally dreading it. All right. That's a huge sign to you. So you can ask yourself, who's my favorite client or customer, and then clone them. That's your specific person. Or this is probably my favorite way of answering it, is who pays me the most, the easiest. Okay. Who pays me the most, the easiest. Now, hopefully those 2 answers, your favorite client and who pays me the most, the easiest, are the same. Sometimes they're not. Then you will have a decision to make. All right. And this goes back to what we talked about up here. Like I said, hopefully those are this one and the same. Sometimes they're not. Again, using my agency as an example, our highest paying client did not fit the favorite customer client profile at all. They were really difficult to work with, but we kept working with them. Why? Because they paid us a lot of money. And so I like there to be an overlap between those 2 questions. Favorite client, favorite customer, and who pays me the most, the easiest. And in most cases, like I would say 80, 90% of the time, those are going to be the same people. All right. So step 1 is identifying your specific person. Again, we're wanting that audience of one. Step 2 is identifying your specific outcome. All right. How will working with you advance your who to the next step of their journey? Remember, we're only taking them from one spot. So, I use this dialogue at the bottom. I was trying to find this one yesterday, but this is like the power up. Okay. So those of you who grew up in the 80s and 90s remember Super Mario Brothers. What happens when when Mario, or Luigi for that matter, eats one of those flowers? Well, he has the ability to shoot fireballs. And so your offer is that plant, the I don't know what they call it, the fireball plant. Your offer is the fireball plant. Your customer is Mario, And when they eat your offer, they are able to throw fireballs. They get a power up. Another way of saying it is input your offer, output. So they go in one way to your offer and they come out a different way. So here's some examples. Spend half as much money and get the same results for your Facebook ads. All right. So they go in spending $1,000 and getting, let's say, 50 leads a month. They come out spending $1,000 and getting 100 leads a month. All right. So one step, boom to here, boom to here. Next example, get your pizza in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. This is Domino's specific outcome from back in the day. Your pizza will be at your doorstep in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. So the customer goes in one way, hungry. The pizza is delivered within 30 minutes and they come out. Well, this is kind of inferred, but they come out not hungry, satisfied. Now, interestingly enough, Domino's had to chuck this because their drivers were literally running people over to get the pizzas there on time. So they couldn't do that anymore because their drivers were killing. Oh, that's so funny to me. That's why I included here. Not that people were dying, but their drivers were just so hell bent on getting that pizza to the doorstep within 30 minutes. They would stop at nothing. Okay. Anyway, this is one from a realtor in our area. I'm sure this other realtors have picked up on this, but I love it so much because it's such a good, clear, specific outcome. We'll sell your home in 60 days or buy it from you. Man, that's such a good specific outcome, right? You know exactly what you're getting. It's very clear. It's very straightforward. Let me check to see. I thought I had some different notes on that. Whoops. Yeah. So what does your specific person get after or as they work with you? And a lot of times, this is not rocket science, but I think so many times as business owners, we get familiar with our offers and we get familiar with what we do. I know I'm guilty of this just as much as the next guy, that we forget that our audience doesn't know. They don't understand. They hardly know what their own problems are, let alone how we can solve their problems. And so we have to make it very, very clear and very straightforward, almost to the point where you feel like you're being offensive. You're being you boil it down so simply that you almost feel like you're being offensive. But I promise you, the more simple you can make it, the more specific you can make your outcome, the better your results. And again, hats off to Nino because he's in our chat and he's been great at showing me, hey, this isn't specific enough. And he's totally right. So we've had some things recently that haven't gone as well as I would have hoped. And it's because when I look at it, oh, it's because our specific outcome isn't clear or a specific person isn't clear. Now, let me get to specific process here because I do want to keep this to half an hour. And then we can round out the process. If you're watching, by the way, on Zoom, if you have any questions on this, just throw your questions in the chat, or I'm sorry, in the Q&A. If you are watching on Twitter, just tag, I'll see if I can get to it. I'll tag me with any questions you might have, and we'll try and get to it that way too. Yeah. So anyways, specific process, okay? Preferably a productized and proprietary process to get people their desired result. Oh, this is what I wanted to do. So the specific process. I'm actually going to add just one more note in here that didn't make the initial cut. There we go. This is an experiment. Did I mention that? So I could do fun stuff like this, like adjust it on the fly rather. All right. So this is how you provide your specific outcome to your specific person. All right. So think of it this way. Your specific process is your it's your customized proprietary way of providing the solution, the specific outcome to your specific person. For instance, this is a very simple specific process. You can probably guess what it is. if this were a little more nuanced, you could identify this without question, but this is Starbucks specific process. This is how they deliver their specific outcome to their specific person. You go into the store, you're greeted by the barista, you order, you wait at the bar, you pick up your coffee, you leave. That whole process is choreographed. How do I know? Because I've seen the um, Starbucks Bible. From the moment you enter that store, and even way well before you enter the store, every step of the process is mapped out. It's specific. It's intentional. For instance, our coaching program, Clients and Content, our specific process is simplify and clarify, creation and growth, monetization. Boom, boom, boom. All right. This is where I find a lot of business owners have a ton of flexibility and, frankly, untapped pockets of wealth just waiting for them. An example I'll give you is this. So, on occasion, I'll do day-long intensives with businesses to help them map out their specific process. And inevitably, I always hear some version of this. Well, this is how we do it, but it's the same as everybody else. Or what, like, I remember I was working with an author one time and I was helping her map out her specific process for her book, because we were going to put that specific process in her book and basically use it as an outline. And she said, well, this is how I do it. And she listed out the way in which she accomplished her goal. And she's like, but so and so does it like this as well. And so over here, so and so number 2 does it like this as well. And I said, stop, time out. No one does it the way that you do it. Yeah, they may help people do something similar, but they don't do it the way that you do it. And that is where the power is, because it's absolutely right. No one has the experiences, the wisdom, the skill set, the knowledge, the understanding that she has. Same with you. No one does business the way that you do business. And oftentimes we discredit ourselves and we think, well, everybody does it this way. And sure, there may be components and elements that are similar to others in the field, but I can promise you, I've been doing this long enough where I've seen hundreds of organizations and hundreds of specific processes. Nobody does it the way that you do it. That's where your leverage is. All right. And if you take it a step further and you name it and you brand it, Donald Miller is a great example of this. Story brand. Everybody knows that. When I say it, almost everybody knows what it is. What is story brand? It's his specific process. It's how he does marketing. Did Donald Miller invent marketing? No. Do hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of other people talk about marketing? Of course. But no one does it the way that Donald does it. And so he's named it Story Brand and has made a lot of money doing so. That's his specific process. And so I don't have time to get into this, but it's productized and it's proprietary. So the process of developing a process, idea, skill, or service to make it marketable for sale to the public, proprietary way of delivering your offer that's unique to you and your business. This exists. The way you deliver your offer is unique, unless you're a ripoff for con artist or whatever, but I doubt that's you. I've only met one sociopath in the whole time that I've been doing this. And now he lives in a van down by the river. So he's got that going for him. At any rate, there's so much more I could say about specific process, but it's absolutely critical to create an irresistible offer. You have to know, number one, how you deliver your specific outcome to your specific person. And number two, what makes it unique and different than everybody else. All right. Because this is how you answer the question. Maybe you've heard this before, like, what makes you different than your competitor? It's not anything other than your specific process. All right. And the more unique and interesting you can make it, the more notoriety you will receive. It's not like Yoda said that, but it was a clunky way of saying it. Anyway, this is like the linchpin of the whole entire process, is your specific process. Now let's wrap up with step 4, specific package. This is the container in which you deliver the specific outcome to the specific person. So this is what they're actually buying. All right. This is the vehicle. All right. So this could be a VIP day, an audit, a meal plan, a couch, a coaching program. You get what I'm saying. So this is the container in which the first three steps fit. And the cool part about this, if you do this in the order that we've laid it out today, what ends up happening is your specific package can change while your first three steps remain the same. So, for instance, right now, our specific process is delivered three different ways. One is in digital products, two is in our online community, three is in a coaching program. The specific process is the exact same. I said it earlier: simplify and clarify, creation and growth, monetization. That specific process stays the same. The package in which we deliver it, that's what changes. All right. And so identifying what that specific package is for the offer. Now, one thing I'll say is, like, sometimes people will get spooked out here and they'll say, well, the, the Godfather framework works on an offer basis. Okay. So if you're in business, let's say you're a coach or consultant, you can have multiple different offers. All right. So this isn't restrictive in the sense that it means you can only sell one offer. It just means that make sure you cross these T's and dot these I's. And of course, I would say step three being the most important piece of the puzzle, but you can swap up the package if something's not working. So for example, we tried a course. The offer was a course. Okay. So the specific package was a digital course, and it was okay. It did okay. But we changed the vehicle. We changed the vehicle from a course to a challenge, and it did much better in the challenge package. The live challenge, meaning a live challenge. So it's a 3-day live challenge, and it performed much better there. But I can't find it quickly. Had we just left it in that initial package, we would have missed out on the benefits of just holding it loosely and saying, okay, maybe this would work better in a different package, in a different bundle, a different, manifestation, if you will. And so don't be afraid to take something that has a specific person and a specific outcome and a specific process and play around with the delivery mechanism, the vehicle, the specific package. All right. So there we have it, folks. This is our first What's Working Now. Looks like we have way more folks tuning in on Twitter than we do on Zoom. So that's pretty cool. Nina will have to follow up with that. I'm not sure what that means, but it means something. So we did look at the Godfather framework, the difference between a push offer and a pull offer. The Godfather framework being specific person, specific outcome, specific process, specific package. So we'll wrap up there. If you have questions on this, email me, justin@justinwise.net. How about that? And I'd be happy to even take a look at your Godfather framework and offer if you get it done. So that's my personal email address. You can email me anytime and I'll take a peek at it. All right, we're going to wrap up there. Thanks for attending the very first What's Working Now. We'll do these again. What do you think? I enjoyed it. Anyway,